get in. I don't know if everyone knows, but Jenny and I, we're neighbors.
We are. Maybe you are, well, we always say like, hey, after this, are we going to our local? I actually went a while ago and I was looking for you.
Oh, well, maybe I was busy, but I'm sure it's surprising I wasn't, right? It's really great to see everyone. Our Facebook friends are all coming on right now. We're just getting started. We're letting all the spoiled agents in from across Canada. Amazing. Let's see here. We're just getting busy here. All right, we're going to record the session, Jenny, because just in case, and we're going to add it to your page later, of
Perfect.
course. And oh yes, we have quite a few spoiled agents on already. All right. Well, I think for the time, if you're good, Miss Jenny Berg, we're going to get started. And I'd like to welcome Jenny Berg, Director of Strategic Sales for Trafalgar, other known as TTC. Some of us know you as that. And thank you for joining us today. And my name is Susan Koyman from Spoiled Agent. And we're so happy to have a really good friend of all of ours here at Spoiled Agent, Jenny Berg, joining us today. And I know you're going over you have great brands as well. I know you've got amazing, I can see them all up there. And I know the Brendan Vacations one very, very dear to my heart because I went on my personal vacation to Ireland with them and it was top notch. So I can definitely say it was a great experience. But today I know we're talking all things Trafalgar and, things like that as well, correct?
Yes, I'm going to focus on Trafalgar today just to talk a bit about Trafalgar touring as we know and love it, but also the exciting new Trafalgar River cruising.
Wow. Oh, this is amazing. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to get started. If that's okay with you, Jenny, I just want to welcome everybody. If you have any questions for Jenny, please add them to the Q&A box. We're not going to put them in the chat. We're going to leave the chat definitely for the chitter chatter with Jenny and I'd say and all our spoiled agents and all the hellos and stuff like that. The Q&A is where we'll be able to actually see them because they'll get lost in the chat box. But also, Jenny's been super, super generous today, and she's offered a $50 gift card of one of our spoiled agents' choice for someone who stays on to the question period. But you don't necessarily have to ask a question. And if you get an email from Jenny in a few days, it's Thursday, we'll give you to next week. Then open it because it's really, really good news. So, all right, Miss Jenny, I think I'm gonna hand it over to you, Miss, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Sounds good. Thank you, Susan, for having that. We always love joining our spoiled agent friends. And I'm really excited today to be here to talk all things Trafalgar. So, as Susan mentioned, I am with TTC Tour Brands. So, not only Trafalgar, we do have quite a few different brands under our umbrella of the Travel Corporation. So, just to quickly review what those brands are: Insight Vacations, which is our premium touring brand; Brendan Vacations, which I'm so jealous. Susan's already experienced one and I have not yet. But they do everything Ireland and Scotland, not only guided, but also FIT. So if you want to do like private chauffeur, rail packages, which is what Susan did, you can do pretty much anything with them in Ireland and Scotland. Trafalgar, I'm going to go a lot into. That's our most popular brand worldwide. Cost Saver is great for that independent, little bit more independent traveler. They want the kind of details taken care of, but also have a lot more of their free time. And then Kentucky, which is near and dear to my heart. I was Kentucky for many years before I aged out because it's 18 to 35. But great news that technically I can still go because they've introduced some tours that are for 35 to 45. So keep that in mind, especially for your Kentucky travelers that maybe think that they're over the Kentucky age. Where do we go? I mean, pretty much everywhere with our suite of brands. We have over 750 tours over 6 continents and 70 plus countries. So please don't think of us only for Europe. Yes, Europe is where we have the most options, but we go everywhere. Asia, Africa, Latin America, those trips typically operate a little bit differently because they are smaller groups and we don't use the big like Trafalgar coaches. So they're a bit different, but they're absolutely fantastic. And then don't forget too, we also have amazing trips down in Australia, New Zealand, in Oceania, and right here at home in North America. So what's the 101 when it comes to touring? Before we kind of delve into just Trafalgar, this is what we include on all of our tours. So if you are new to selling this kind of travel, I can let you know that once you get someone on it, you will have them hooked. And I can say that from my own experience. I always talk about my in-laws, and now I get to talk about my parents too. So my in-laws, they did their first Trafalgar about 20 years ago, and they were typically, they always did all inclusives. They did a cruise here and there. Once they did a Trafalgar tour, they were just like, oh my goodness, I've been missing out on this, because everything's done for you and you get to completely immerse yourself in a new country or a new region. So once you join on that first day, the accommodations are already pre-vetted for you. So you as their agent don't have to worry about making sure that the accommodations are in the right areas that they want to be in. With Trafalgar specifically, that usually means it's like a 4-star hotel in a great location, very central to where they want to be. With dining, we include some, but not all, because we want you to, the clients to be off doing their own thing sometimes as well. So always a great breakfast is included every day. That's a full, buffet breakfast, something for everyone. And then lunch is typically on your own. So that's usually kind of connected to free time. Of course, if you're like in the jungle in Peru or something and there's no restaurants around, we're going to include lunch on those tours. But it just kind of depends on where you are. When it comes to dinners, that's where we really amp it up. And you're not just getting a beautiful meal, but you're also sometimes going to get a bit more of an experience. It's going to be in a really nice location. And it's also going to include like your wines and your beers. And it's usually going to bring in the culture as much as possible as well. With our experiences, we like to include those experiences that most people think they want to do, and they do want to do those bucket list items, but we also mix it up with some hidden gems that you didn't even know existed. And then, of course, building in that free time as well. When it comes to the transportation, specifically for like in Europe, down Oceania, North America, it is that big, beautiful coach that we're using from point A to point B. And it's absolutely the most comfortable way to get around. It's air conditioned, reclining seats, washroom on board, Wi-Fi, all that fun stuff. And I can tell you one thing that I always appreciate is it's only for your group. So if you want to leave something on board one day, you brought your umbrella and now it's not raining, you can absolutely do that because it's always locked. It's only us, your group, using it. And the driver stays the same the whole trip. So it's absolutely safe. I know I said I was going to mention my parents because now I can talk about them. It took me literally 20 years to get them on a tour since I've been working for the company. And they always thought, they didn't think they'd want to be on a coach. They didn't think they wanted to travel with strangers. They didn't think they'd have enough free time. And guess what? When they got back from their first tour last year in Italy, what were their favorite things? The coach, because they absolutely loved that they just got picked up after breakfast. They're whisked off to an amazing experience or going to do some great sightseeing. And they didn't have to worry. They didn't have to drive or figure out where they're going or how they're getting there. And they loved meeting all these new people. I got a message from my mom day 2, and she was like, oh my goodness, I have this new friend from South Africa and she wants me to come visit her next year. And so it's really exciting to meet fellow travelers that are like-minded along the way. And guess what? They did get free time. What did they do? Because they fell in love with the travel director. They fell in love with the group. They were having so much fun. They filled most of their free time with optional experiences and added them on, which is funny. That happens a lot. People think they want all this free time to do their own thing, but then they get on the tour and they're like, why would I want to leave the tour? Like, it does everything I want and it's taking care of all the details. So one very special component of that are the travel directors, the expert guides that we use. We have the best in the business. They've been doing it for years. That's their whole career. And their whole point of their job is to make sure that every single person on that tour is going home saying, that was the best trip of my life. Not just half the group, not just the ones that are like them. They really get to know everyone and they kind of become like your best friend while you're there to make sure everything's not only running seamlessly, but that everyone's having fun and everyone's getting what they want out of their tour. Within our different travel brands, we do have varied group sizes. So Insight Vacations is smaller group sizes, being a bit more premium. And with Trafalgar, I mentioned some of the different destinations already have smaller groups as well. There are different paces. So if you have someone who maybe is a little bit worried about walking too much, you can pick a tour that has not quite as fast paced, maybe more balanced. And that's always noted on the itinerary. Of course, responsible travel is woven through everything that we do. So that's not only on our tours, but also through our offices. So in our Canadian office, where I'm based out of here in Toronto, we have so many things that were changed over the many years to make it as sustainably run as possible. So it's woven through everything we do in our business. And I'm going to talk about how we bring that to life with our travelers. So if you are new to touring, I thought I would throw this in just because I wanted to explain how our itineraries look. So very, self-explanatory, I think, is that it always shows, where you're starting and ending. So for flights, you can book them through us. You can book them through your own contracts, as long as you're getting people there to arrive at least on the first day of the tour. That's where they'll meet the tour director in the first hotel, and that's where they'll meet the rest of the group as well. So there's a welcome meeting on that first day, usually around like 4 or 5 p.m. And there's quite often a welcome dinner as well. And then you're off. You're off on your adventures with all of your new friends. So all of the little circles that you see, the ones with the numbers, that's how many nights you're staying in each destination, or each city. And all these little gray dots, those are where you're stopping along the way. So in a place like Ireland, I mean, your drive times are never going to be long, even if it's the longest might be like 2 hours, right? But even then, you're going to stop an hour in. You might spend 2, 3 hours in some other experience that's included along the way. So you're never, usually you're not going to have huge driving days on the days that you are moving around. And then we always mix it up with these little stops along the way. And that's quite often where you're going to get some of those hidden gems, right? So these little towns, quaint little places that you didn't even know existed. And then you go home and everyone says, "Oh, how was Dublin?" And of course, Dublin was amazing. But I really love this place called Knock, which maybe people haven't heard of, right? So that gives you a little bit of an idea how the itineraries work. So let's talk about Trafalgar, which is what I wanted to focus on today. As I mentioned, Trafalgar is the most popular tour. It's one of the biggest tour operators in the whole world, actually. So we have offices and operations teams all over the world, which means your clients are always taken care of. If anything happens in the world, we have a team there to make sure that everyone is safe, everyone's still having a great time. If we have to switch the tour in any way, we're very nimble to do that. So the Travel Corporation, which is the overarching, the overarching corporation that owns all of these brands, has been around for actually over 100 years. So we were in London a few years celebrating the 100th year anniversary, which is really special. Trafalgar on its own, as it operates today, has been in doing what it does since 1947. So many years to kind of perfect that secret sauce of what makes people come back year after year. What goes into a Trafalgar tour that makes it a little bit different than maybe other ones? So as I said, with the experiences that are included, there's going to be those ones that are the icons, the things that everyone, usually would want. But then we do include those extra little things that people would not expect. We do also have one-of-a-kind experiences, which are Trafalgar kind of unique, which are Be My Guest experiences, which is exactly how it sounds. You're being welcomed into a local's home or maybe their farm. I'm going to show you an example of that. And there's at least one of those on every single itinerary. We also have Stays with Stories. So that's where we kind of mix it up. Instead of being in, say, a nice Marriott hotel, it's going to be a really unique accommodation. And I'm going to show you one of those too. And then our Make Travel Matter experiences. So I told you, sustainability is woven through everything we do. We're as responsible as possible in that way, but we bring it to life with our travelers through our Make Travel Matter experiences, which we include at least one on every single trip as well. And then I think the biggest selling point for you, if you are, trying to get into the touring space, is having everything taken care of. And I think that was one thing that really stood out to my parents being on their first tour. They just couldn't believe how little they had to worry. They felt so safe. They just felt like they were completely taken care of. They didn't have to worry about where they were staying or how to get there. You don't even have to worry about checking into your hotel. The tour director calls when you're on the way to your next place. They line up all the rooms to check in. They go in, grab all the keys, hand them out. While they're handing out the keys, your bag is being ported from under the coach to your room. You don't even have to bring it up yourself. So that's those little things that people don't quite know until they go on a trip. And then just having those experiences, like the things that you didn't know you wanted to do, and they're going to let you know. Let's say you have a free afternoon and you want some amazing seafood. This was an experience I had in Barcelona. And I'm like, we really want to get some authentic seafood that was maybe like caught just today because we're right by the ocean. And our tour director said, okay, I'm going to tell you where I go when I have a day off in Barcelona. If you walk down this alley, take a right, you're going to come up into the local food market. If you keep walking through the market, you're going to come eventually up onto kind of like a little bar situation where you pull up a bar stool and there's chefs in the middle flipping fresh seafood that was caught that day. You can pick your seasonings and your sauces. They put it on and they throw you your plate and you just eat it right in front of them while they're cooking all this great seafood. So it's like unique little things like that that your travel director can give you these little tips because they're from the area. If they're not actually from the area, they've been taking tours for years. So they know all the ins and outs. And I should mention too that when you do have that free time, as I said, my parents added all those optional excursions on. The optional excursions are offered in destination, so it's not something that you need to worry about before your travelers go. But if they do want to see what will be available, you can see online what those will be and how much they will cost, but you don't pre-purchase those. Those are purchased with the tour director. So that's the only thing that you don't need to book here. But the great thing for you is that everything else is packaged in. It's all in Canadian dollars. All the taxes are included, and you get amazing commission on all of it. So I'm telling you for sure, if you have never sold a tour, once you sell your first one, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's a really nice commission compared to some of the other packages you might be selling. So again, just some examples of those must-sees and local secrets that you'll get along the way. And while I've been talking a lot about the travel director that will be with you for the whole tour, you're also going to have local specialists that pop up along the way. So they might be a specialist to the area that you're in. They might be doing a little walking tour and just give you that local flavor. And they kind of, as I said, just pop up throughout the tour and mix it up a little bit. So with the Be My Guest experiences, this is one example just to give you a bit of a feel for what those will be. This is in Japan on our Splendors of Japan tour. The Be My Guest experience is allowing you to step inside a traditional Japanese home in Kyoto. You're welcomed by the family that lives there, and you get to learn a lot about their cultures, get to tour their actual home, their amazing landscape gardens, before enjoying a multi-course lunch with them where they'll continue to tell stories, about what it's like to live in Kyoto. So you do get one of these, at least one on every single Trafalgar. They're always different and it's very special. I know that our travelers always come back with stories about their Be My Guest experience. Those stays with stories. So if we are mixing it up and not staying in a traditional hotel, this was very unique. I mean, I think this is one of the coolest ones that we use in Turkey. So it's at the Exedra Hotel in Cappadocia, and each room is completely different. They're carved from natural rocks and caves. So you're actually like experiencing a living piece of history. And I can tell you, out of all the places I've been around the world, Turkey was one that just blew me away. Like I didn't know what to expect, and it ended up being one of my favorite destinations. And it's actually a really reasonably priced destination as well. So if you have clients who don't know where to go and they want something different, Turkey is a great choice. If they go with Trafalgar, they get to stay at this amazing stay with stories. So again, back to our travel directors, I can't say enough about them because they really make the tour. They are the ones that make sure that, yes, everything's going seamlessly, but they're also there for everyone and they're available 24/7. So this is a big point because there are some operators where the tour directors might switch mid-tour or they're only available for part of the day. Ours will never change. So the person that you meet on day one is who you have for the whole trip. And that goes for the driver as well if you are on a tour that's using a coach. And they're available 24/7. So even if you're doing your own thing, you're on free time, you can text them, call them, and they'll be there for you. We'll never direct you to an app or anything like that. So I can tell you, of all my years working with our tour companies, our tour operators are always what people come back raving about. And for myself, I've personally become friends with a lot of my tour directors, whether it was on a Kentucky, Trafalgar. I was on a Cost Saver last year. Actually, funny story, the Cost Saver tour director, we were like, it's like day 3. I'm like, we know each other. Like, I swear I've met you before. And it's because 10 years before that, he had worked at Kentucky and I had met him at one of our conferences. So quite often we'll find that is that some of our travel directors, when they're younger, they'll start at Kentucky, and Kentucky is like the most intense training program ever. So if they've come from there, they have like so much experience. So as they kind of get older, they'll kind of move throughout the tour. So maybe they'll go to Cost Saver, which is what he did, and then probably eventually he'll be with Trafalgar, and then maybe Insight. So quite often they'll stay with our company because we treat them so well because they're so valuable to us, and they really do make the trips. So back to those Make Travel Matter experiences where I said there is at least one included on every single tour. What these are is they're going to be connecting our travelers with either supporting the wildlife of the area, the people and communities, or the places that we are actually in, the amazing planet that we live on. So I'm going to show you a little video that talks a bit about these experiences. And I hope the sound works.
No sound. No sound.
Sorry if the sound didn't work on that. I do have one other video, but I'm still going to play it because the other one has words on the whole thing. So I think it's still useful to play. So, who goes on a Trafalgar? Everyone goes on Trafalgar tours. Anyone from the age of 5 years old to 115. It doesn't really matter age ranges. Anyone can go. So we do have quite a few people that will be traveling with their partners, with their mother, or groups of friends. But we also have a lot of solo travelers. So I want to talk a bit about solo and family travel, because this is definitely kind of a market. I think that when you are traveling on your own, you don't sometimes know where to start. And the great thing about traveling as a solo traveler on one of our tours, which is how I took my first tour when I was 23, is that as soon as you join the tour, you're no longer solo, you're no longer alone. You're joining a whole new group of like-minded travelers from all over the world, and you get to experience all these new things with other people, which sometimes makes it even more special. So what are the options for solo travelers when it comes to rooming? They can either choose to guarantee their own room by paying the single supplement, which I will be honest, most Trafalgar and Insight travelers do. They want to guarantee their own room. But if they want to roll the dice, there is a little secret that if you choose the room share option, so as long as you're okay with being roomed up with a same-sex other traveler that chose that option as well, then you don't have to pay the single supplement. Now, as I said, most will want to guarantee their own room. So the chances of that exact tour and that exact date, someone else chose the solo room share option, is sometimes not that likely, which means you end up with your own room and you didn't have to pay a single supplement. But they do need to be okay with the fact that if there is someone that also chose it, then they do share. But I think it's always good for you to give them those two options because it is a way that they can save on that supplement. I will tell you, like, that before, years ago, when my first few years at the company, I was in the contact center, and we would always tell people that because it was one of those things. Like, we have so many tour departures. I think almost every time they ended up with their own room. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, good little tip. Some of our top tours for top solo travel tours this year are Portugal, Turkey, and Scandinavia. I did also want to talk about family tours because we do have a full range of tours with Trafalgar only that are specifically for families. So if you are on the portal or you're on the Trafalgar website and you go to the search box, just put in family and you'll see all the tours that are catered specifically for people that are traveling with children or like young teens. And those ones, it's still all the value you would get with Trafalgar, but it's just, a little bit tweaked. Quite often, we will have grandparents, parents, and their kids all traveling together on one of those tours. Of course, they can go on a regular Trafalgar too, no problem. But especially if the kids are a bit younger, the family ones are a really cool option. So I'm going to show you this other video that is talking about Trafalgar from the view of the travelers. And I'm sorry that if the sound isn't working, but as I said, there's words on the whole video. Hmm. There you go. And I saw in the comments there about the bee farm visit in Greece. I haven't experienced that, but I've heard it is really cool. And I think it was actually in that video. So thank you, Nova, for that. So that's a little bit about Trafalgar on the tour side. And what we're doing now is super exciting because we're bringing all of our expertise to the rivers. And I don't know if you know this, but our sister company on the rivers already is Uniworld. So, Uniworld, of course, being a very boutique river cruising company, they've been able to bring their expertise, combining it with Trafalgar's you kind of know how and what we've been doing for so many years on land. And we're smushing them together to make an awesome Trafalgar River Cruise experience. So this is very exciting. They've been on sale for a while now. They're selling really well. And we have our first sailings going this April. So they're starting very soon. And as I said, everything I talked about when it comes to Trafalgar tours, you'll get all of that on the rivers. So having those amazing must-sees as well as local secrets. You're going to have optional experiences, make travel matter. We're going to kind of go through exactly what's included and what's not. Really cool thing, I've said it a few times, the travel directors are so important to Trafalgar Tours. So we're bringing them on to our river cruising. So not only will you have your traditional river cruise host who's taking care of all the details, but you're also going to have that Trafalgar travel director or experience director, as we're going to call them. So you get two people instead of just one, which I believe most river cruises have just the one. Deeper connections. So we're bringing as well those at least one Be My Guest experience and at least one Make Travel Matter experience will be included on all of our river cruises. So very Trafalgar. But the perk is that we're actually using Uniworld ships that they're not going to be using this year anymore. So you're getting kind of that level of ship. It's going to be tweaked a bit to be a bit more Trafalgar, but it's still that smaller ship. So it's less people. If every cabin is sold out with two people in each cabin, it's 128 guests max, 3-to-1 staff ratio. The cabins are beautiful. I'm going to show you a picture. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, I think. And the price point is really good. So if you check it out when you're off this webinar, check out the prices and they're quite reasonable. So what's included, it's, you're going to get at least one experience every single day. And then there's always going to be optional experiences offered each day too. Or you can take half of the day completely free and do what you'd like. Of course, all the meals are included. So breakfast and lunch are going to be a beautiful, huge, gorgeous buffet. Dinner will be a la carte. You'll have options of 3 to 4 different menu choices with your appetizer, your main, your dessert. And with lunch and dinner, you do have your beers and your wines and all that included. And the wines will be changing as you change through the region. So they will be local to the area, which is always nice. Some kind of random things that you don't think you will like, but I know when I did my first river cruise last year, I love this, is that you can do laundry for free on board. So you can go down, throw your laundry in, it's like on the bottom level, go up, have a cocktail, come back down, throw it in the dryer, go finish your cocktail or have another one, go back down, your laundry's done. So it's kind of a cool little thing that's available. If you want someone else to do your laundry, you can pay for that. There's also bikes on board that are free to use. There always is enough for everyone that wants to use them. They're not e-bikes, they're regular bikes. We have gotten that question a few times. And of course, all the onboard like games rooms, the gym, the lounges, sun decks, that's all available for the guests to enjoy. When it comes to their bar drinks outside of meals, that is extra. So that is one difference between, say, Uniworld, which is our boutique all-inclusive one. That's one big difference, is that drinks are included during the meal times, but not like in the evening after dinner. So just to keep that in mind. But again, I think you'll see the differences in the prices for the river cruising. So let's talk about the Verity, Trafalgar Verity. This is our first one that we're offering on the Rhine. And this is actually a 1930s steamship exterior with a really cool Art Deco interior. And kind of a random interesting fact is that it's the only working fireplace on any Europe river cruise on this ship. So if anyone likes those random facts, you can let them know that. So the Best of the Rhine in Amsterdam, this is definitely, a huge, very popular itinerary. This is actually very similar to the one I did last year with Uniworld. But a really nice thing that we're doing is we're including Amsterdam 2-night hotel stay at the start or the end, depending on which direction they're going. So they don't have to worry about getting themselves into the Amsterdam city and arrange their own accommodation. And keep in mind when you are looking at the river cruise options on the portal or on the Trafalgar website, is when you're looking at like dates and rates, it's going to start with the just one direction. You have to click on the other direction, reverse, to see all the other dates that are offered going the reverse way. So just to make sure, because sometimes I know the first time I looked, I kind of missed that. And then I realized that there's double the dates available. We also have Christmas market departures on this one, the Rhine, as well as the Danube. And we still have Christmas market space because we were a bit later to the game. We only started selling the middle of the year last year. So I know like Christmas markets sell really hot and they're very popular. So if you have anyone looking, definitely keep that in mind. This gives you a bit of an idea of the room categories, and these are the actual rooms that are on this vessel. So you have your suite, your French balcony. So the French balcony, yes, it does open. The suite has a French balcony as well. And then you have your deluxe, which is your standard. So it has a nice big window. And then your classic is more like that swan view window. But of course, you never have to worry about inside rooms. Everyone's on the outside. Everyone has a window. So beautiful rooms, very comfortable. And just to give you an idea of like what are the experiences that are included, these are the immersive ones that are specific to Trafalgar, your iconic. So all of these are included. And then the yellow optional experiences, those would be ones that they can add on, or they can take that as free time. Then the Trafalgar Reverie, this is where we are going over to the Danube. Again, you can go either direction, starting or ending in Prague and Budapest. And there are those optional extensions that they can add on as well. And then again, a little bit of an example of what the experiences are that are included versus optional. And the river cruising is going so well so far. And we only, we're getting our feet wet with it. We've already added a third itinerary, which will be sailing starting in 2027. And that's on the Seine. So starting and ending in Paris, which makes it super easy to combine with a lot of our Trafalgar tours because we have so many that start and end in Paris. And again, even, the other ones you can combine with a tour. Some of them fit more perfectly than others. Others you might need a little internal flight or something like that to get them there. So right now, we do have some great options for sales. You can get that free extension, or you can also get discounted extensions too. How to book a river cruise. So the deposit, 10% off the total trip price. Sorry, not off. That's what you need to put down. Insurance and air is available as well through us. Transfers included with all air booked with Trafalgar, but transfers are not included if the air is not booked with Trafalgar. And then you do still get to enjoy those loyalty and on-trip benefits. So global tour rewards, which I'll talk about. The one thing I do want to call out is right now, while all the information is online, you do need to call in to actually make the booking. The reason is because it's a different system. So the system that we use for the river cruising it's not the same booking system as the Trafalgar touring. So that's why you do still need to call to make the actual booking itself. Hopefully that will be more streamlined in the future, but at the end of the day, I think it's not a bad thing because then you get to ask any questions that you may have. And what about for groups? So if you do have those group bookings, it's definitely ideal because you can hold a kind of a block of space. We're very flexible with it. You don't need to put down a deposit or anything. And every 10th guest travels free. So it's not every 10th cabin, it's every 10th person. So definitely, let us know if you have any groups that you might have interested in. Even if you want those groups for Christmas markets, we can absolutely do that. And as I mentioned with our guest global tour rewards, this is interchangeable through all of our tours. So even if they did say Kentucky years ago and now they want to do a Trafalgar, they can get that past traveler 5% off. And that it's for life, and you can use it between all the different brands. And that is always combinable with the in-market offer. So we have some really great deals starting on March 2nd. So the current deal ends tomorrow. Then we're going to have new ones starting on March 2nd. So watch for those. And it's all stackable with your past traveler discount. And that is basically it. So I wanted to leave some time for any questions that might have come up. And I hope you've learned a little bit about Trafalgar land and river.
I did. I sure did. Oh my goodness. Amazing, Jenny. I
And
just want
thank
to,
you for all the love. I've been loving to see all these little hearts and like clapping and everything. It's so encouraging.
well, for sure, lots of love for our girl Jenny. I just want to go head over to Facebook if you don't mind. There's a couple of comments. First of all, from our buddy Brett. Hello, Brett. He's in PEI. Brett said Trafalgar slash TTC's repeat guest program works so well. If they've been on one Trafalgar trip, they will take another, another, and another.
Love it.
Jody Ray on Facebook said, booked two couples on Treasures of Thailand with Phuket extension this week. Took advantage of the sale that ends tomorrow, which you just spoke about.
Yay! Congrats.
I love it. All right, let's head over to the Q&A. Donna, hi Donna. Donna just has a comment. My first trip ever was Trafalgar before I became a travel agent. Loved it so much. So, do you
Aw.
have any travel agent discounts with Trafalgar?
Of course. So just like our global tour rewards encompass all of our tour brands, for travel agent discount program, it's based on your revenue that you've sold either the previous year or this year, and it's not just Trafalgar; it's all the brands. So if you've sold an Insight, Trafalgar, Kentucky, it's the combined revenue of all of the tour brands that will tell you what tier you have for your discount. And fun fact, you can also use your travel agent discount towards FAMs. So we all know FAMs are a lot less expensive than a regular tour. So let's say the FAM, well, the ones we were running in March, we have like 10 going. They were 1,099 US each. So that if you're getting 50% off that, right? Pretty good. Or if you're getting 100% off, that's even better.
That's amazing. And you know what? That's a great segue to let everyone know that the agent rates and access to the agent rates are on Jenny's page on
Yes.
spoiledagent.com. You just go down to tour operators and you're going to click on Jenny's pages there and you'll see everything there as well. Just a little comment here. Okay, Paul on Zoom said, do you have any adult only tours?
To be honest with you, most Trafalgar and Insight tours are adult only. It's pretty rare that we get children on them. Of course, sometimes you will. Like I can't say for sure, but usually it's all adults. The average age on Trafalgar tends to be 50s, 60s, that kind of age range. But of course, we do have people in their 30s. Like you saw in the video that one traveler, she was a solo traveler and she had just turned 30. So there is a good mix, but that's kind of the majority.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good to
But
know. And
hey, if you want to organize your own custom group, if you have a group of people, we can do custom groups. Absolutely. So that's something to keep in mind too.
actually, Diane on Zoom's asking, do you have an email for groups?
We do, yes. It is on the portal as well. It's also on the spoiled agent. I should know it off the top of my head. I think it's just like groups at ttc.com or something like that, but I can get that for sure for you.
Okay, no worries. And you know what? I'm gonna copy. I've been copying as you've been chatting the agent portal, of course, your contact information. And as much as Jenny's here today, Jenny has a whole team as well across Canada to help all of our spoiled agents,
Yeah.
with obviously selling questions, inquiries, things like that. There's your agent portal. And again,
Yeah. So can I say, Susan? So when you go on the portal,
yeah.
just go to the groups, the little groups icon, and you're going to see all the details of their phone number, their email address, all of that. And for the sales managers that are available across Canada, that all is on there too, and it's also on the Spoiled Agent site. So all of their contacts. But of
That's
course, you can always reach out to me as well.
that's great. Amazing. All right, let's get back at it here. Okay, Isabel's asking, are there any French escorted tours from the Montreal or Quebec area? Or are they all in English?
Great question. We used to work with Tour Chanticleer, which, if you're from Montreal, you probably know them well. We haven't had a program in the last few
Mhm.
years, but we can do any tour in French if you have a group. So at the moment, that's the only way to do a French led tour is as a custom group. When I say custom group, you can literally take a tour that's existing. We can recreate it exactly as it is. The only thing is you have to fill it, right?
Mhm.
So maybe you join up with some other agents in the Montreal area and you can sell into it. I would love to get back into that because I think it's something that we've been missing in the last few years because we used to have such a huge program that was specifically for Quebec. But yeah, typically our tours are escorted in English unless it's a French departure that has been arranged. So if you're interested in talking more about that, hit me up and we can definitely talk about it for sure. And
Okay.
I do want to mention our sales manager who's based in Halifax. She also covers Quebec. She's somewhat new, Michelle Kemp.
Hmm,
She's fully bilingual. So if you ever need her for like a bilingual event in Quebec, we can hook that up too.
that's great. You guys have it covered. Okay, Carolyn said on Zoom for the river cruises, are there any suites, rooms that offer triple or quad occupancy?
Great question. And no, that's the easy answer. They are not huge rooms, to be honest with you. They're very well appointed, and every little space is used in a great way. But if you have, say, a family traveling together or people that want to be next to each other, we do have some adjoining rooms. So that's the best option for that. So when you're booking, just make sure that you are saying that because there's a limited number of adjoining rooms.
Okay. And Pamela on Zoom said, Jenny, you mentioned that there's one main difference between the Trafalgar cruise, river cruise, and the Uniworld. Can you say that again? She didn't hear it.
Well, the main difference is that Uniworld is all inclusive and Trafalgar is not all inclusive. There's a lot included, but it's not completely all inclusive, right? So I would say that is the main difference. Uniworld is more of a boutique standard, and Trafalgar is much more in line with our Trafalgar touring. I wouldn't call it boutique, but it's going to be an amazing experience. And as you saw, there's a lot included as well.
I just noticed we got some new Facebook friends joining us. If you're just joining us on Facebook and you haven't already added your email in the comments, please do it so we know you're here and to qualify for Jenny's prize today. Only if you haven't done it, and it's only for Facebook friends. Zoom, we have you covered because you registered. Okay, Wendy's asking on Zoom. So did I understand correctly? Solo agreed to room with someone and then passenger doesn't have to pay the supplement. I think you have two options for that, correct?
Yeah. So if they want to guarantee their own room, they pay the single supplement. If they're okay to potentially room with someone, if someone else on that tour departure also chose that option, another same sex traveler, then you would be rooming together. But if no one else chose that option on that tour and you did, or your client did, then you end up with your own room by default. And then you didn't have to pay the single supplement. So you are taking a chance. They have to be okay with sharing if there is someone, but quite often there's not someone else that took that option because usually Trafalgar people want to guarantee their own room.
So that's good. So you could
You
save,
got to roll the dice.
or you
Yeah.
might have a new friend.
You know
Um,
what? Well, can I tell you a really quick story?
yes.
So I know we're coming up to time, but on
That's
my
fine.
cost saver that I went on about a year ago in Portugal, there was
Yes.
these two ladies that were rooming together. I think I told you this story, Susan, before,
Yeah.
because I just loved it. And I could tell like they're traveling together, they're sharing a room, but the one sounds like she's from like Eastern Europe, and the other one sounds like she's either Canadian or American. So I was just kind of trying to piece together. So we were in the elevator together, and I'm like, "So how do you guys know each other? Like, you're obviously traveling together." And they had both been solo travelers the year before on an Italy Trafalgar. They both had paid single supplements. They became best friends like the first day, and now they travel together and share a room. So
Oh,
sometimes it does happen.
oh, that's so nice. That's great. Carolyn on Zoom said, I have clients, a mother and a daughter. They're 75 and 50 years old. They're interested in one of the cost saver tours. What is the typical demographic on those? Good question.
Yeah, definitely. So on my Portugal tour, it was a total mix. I would say still the main demo was similar to Trafalgar. So, between 50s up into 70s for sure. I think they would be a perfect fit. There was one family that had a daughter who was like 10 or something. There was a mother-daughter duo who the daughter was probably 30, right?
Uh-huh.
But the majority, the rest were either solo or like couples or friends going together who are all between those ages. So they would absolutely fit the demo.
Okay, great. Diane's asking, are the river cruises accessible for getting on and off?
So there is a ramp, right, that goes from land over to the ship itself. There are elevators as well on board. If someone is, because I know this question came up, if someone is traveling with a wheelchair, we just do like to be upfront that the rooms are tight. So it is possible, but we just want to make sure that they're prepared that it's not going to be this huge spacious room that if they are using a wheelchair. So I would say just find out as much details as you can about their accessibility needs, and then work with our team to see if it's the best option for them. But absolutely, they are accessible, but they're just not. It's not like a huge hotel room, right? That's been reconfigured
And
for something
Europe
like
is
that.
smaller to start some of these rooms, right?
Yeah, it is. But yes, it is definitely a ramp that takes you from the sidewalk onto the ship itself.
Great. Okay, Susan's asking, I think you touched on t how many people make up a group? Was it 10 people?
Good question. I actually didn't say that. So
Oh,
for a scheduled group to qualify as a group, and when I say scheduled, that means on the tours, you're taking over, like you're kind of blocking space on a tour, right? So that's anywhere from 9 people up, and then for a custom tour, it's 15 people or more. And
hmm.
of course, with a custom tour, the less people you have, the more expensive it'll be, right? Whereas a scheduled tour, it doesn't matter because you're going on a regular tour, you're just taking space. So a custom, if you only had 15 people, it would be pretty expensive. But if you had, say, 30 people, then it's going to be a lot better, right?
Okay, that's great. So Helen's asking basically if she found something with your competition and she wants to bring them over to you guys and it's comparable all the way with everything. Do you guys offer any discount to switch over to Insight, Trafalgar?
It's all case by case. So
Okay,
if you
okay.
have this scenario happening, maybe email me and I'll see what I can do.
Oh, that's great. I did not know this.
So we
That's
do. So it depends on what discounts are already in place, right? If it's already too heavily discounted with what we have in the market, or maybe there's some other like past traveler discount and all that. But usually there is something we can do if you're trying to move them over. So
oh, that's
always
great.
ask your sales manager or me, or you can email partner services. They're great too.
Okay, amazing. I'm going to move over to Facebook. Lily's asking on Facebook, for a custom tour, can we pick the itinerary?
Yep, custom is whatever your heart desires. You can do absolutely anything. It is really cool that we have such a great groups department because they're based. Our North America groups team is half in California, half in Toronto. So you deal with the same person from the first moment you start talking about your custom group to the last bit, and same with scheduled groups too. So it can be something that's similar to a tour that we have, and you're just tweaking it a little bit, or it can be completely different. So if you want to do like a foodie tour or like a wine tasting tour, or like we did one that was like war history tour,
Hmm,
we can do anything. Yeah.
great. Okay, Diane on Zoom said, I've never done a river cruise, but it's on my bucket list for 2026. You gotta go. Here you go. Here's your Trafalgar cruise for
Oh,
you. French
yeah.
balcony. Is it a
Yeah.
sliding door? Is there no balcony? Where would you recommend? Front, back, in the middle for a better cabin?
Interesting. I don't think it makes that much difference front, back, middle. My one that I had last year was a French balcony, and it was near the back. I think we were the second from the back, but I don't think it made a difference. Like they were all kind of in the same zone, right? So with our French balcony, what it was basically like it does kind of go out slightly, but it's not a balcony, but there's a separate little like sitting area. So there's like a little table and two little chairs, and
Mhm.
then there was a button that you pushed, and the huge like balcony like came down halfway, and
Whoa.
then so it was kind of like you had like a glass balcony kind of thing, right? And then it was completely open all up here. So each ship might work slightly differently, but yeah, it'll open so it's kind of like emulating a balcony.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Monica
Well, it was
said,
cool until I realized I was staying out there in my robe. And then I looked because we were parked, and I looked up and there was like a bridge there with people on it. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should not be hanging out of my my balcony. But I had a robe on, so it was all good.
oh my gosh. Monica on Zoom said, really great presentation. Thank you so much. Nova said, thank you for all the great information, for sure. Um,
Awesome. And
amazing.
I saw there was a comment here about Michelle being trilingual. It's true. She also speaks German. So she's English, French, and German.
Oh,
Um,
Michelle
so
on the
thank you,
East
Jen.
Coast.
Yeah. And also, one thing, Susan, I was like, oh, because the agent reminded me of it with her question. We just came out with amazing travel agent discounts for our river cruise program. So I haven't even sent these over to you. I was going to send them over today. So there's certain departures that are 60% off for you. So we can get that up on the Spoiled Agent site, maybe like later today or tomorrow.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a great time to go experience the Trafalgar River cruising.
Wow. Send them over to us. We'll get those up. That is amazing. You guys, wow. Take advantage. What? Diane's like, love it.
Awesome.
We love all the engagement from our spoiled agents, whether Facebook, Zoom, or YouTube. You guys have been fantastic. And Jenny, you are an amazing ambassador. I'm going to say for TTC because all of your brands, of course, coupled into one today. And we're so happy to have you. And I just want to say, all of us here at Spoiled Agent, we love you. We love working with you guys and all of your team members for sure. And I want to thank all of our Spoiled Agents for joining us today across Canada, whether it was over your lunch or your coffee break. And Jenny, for your generous prize. So if someone gets an email from Jenny
Yes.
next week, it's good news, right,
Woohoo.
Jenny?
Yes, absolutely. And I really appreciate, Susan, everything that you guys do for us. And thank you so much for everyone showing up and being here. We love it.
Amazing.
And
Great
as
job,
I said, I'm
everyone.
always, if you come up with other questions or anything, you can always email me, email your sales manager, give us a call. We're here to support you. And we want to make it the best year ever. So far, the year, knock on wood, has been really great for all of our brands. So we're just excited for the main travel season to really start, right? And all these people can go explore all these great places in the world.
Yep, for sure. All right. You have a great day and thanks again, everyone. We'll see you all
Thank
soon.